Today, we are going to conduct a detailed examination of a critical component of the F1 student visa application, the funding interview. It's a subject that is frequently misunderstood. Our objective is to clarify exactly what you must prove and, just as importantly, the correct way to present that proof.
Before we proceed, it is necessary to present a disclaimer. The information provided here is for educational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. The final decision on any visa application rests solely with the U.S. consular officer conducting the interview. This content is based on the 2026 U.S. Department of State guidelines. You must always verify the latest requirements with official U.S. government sources.
Let's begin by addressing a very common question among applicants. Specifically, does showing a significantly large bank balance automatically guarantee the approval of a student visa?
To be unequivocally clear, that belief is a dangerous myth. In fact, relying on this assumption is a primary reason why many applicants who are otherwise financially qualified are ultimately refused a visa.
It is essential to understand what the consular officer is truly evaluating. The focus is not on the total sum of money you present. Instead, it is about the believability of your financial story. The central issue is whether your funding is credible, not simply how large it is.
According to official guidelines, the officer's entire financial assessment is designed to answer one fundamental question. Will this student realistically be able to meet their financial obligations and complete their studies without resorting to unauthorized employment or withdrawing from their program due to lack of funds? Your entire presentation must convincingly answer yes to this.
You must also understand the specific purpose of your I-20 form. This document certifies that a U.S. educational institution has accepted you for a program of study. It does not serve as proof to the U.S. government of your financial capacity. Proving your financial stability is a separate and distinct requirement that you must satisfy during the interview.
Let's consider a practical example to illustrate this point. We have student A who presents a bank balance of $80,000 but cannot explain its origin. Then we have student B who shows $35,000 but supports this with official salary slips and tax returns. From the officer's perspective, student B is unequivocally the lower risk applicant. A smaller, well-documented sum of money is always superior to a larger, unexplained balance.
So what constitutes acceptable and logical funding? The key is not just the source of the funds, but whether the narrative behind that source is logical, consistent, and, most importantly, provable with official documentation.
According to official guidelines, there are several recognized sources of funding. These include funds from parents or legal guardians, personal savings that have a clear history, education loans from established financial institutions, scholarships or assistantships from the university, and funds from approved sponsors with a verifiable income.
However, the logic of your funding must be absolutely consistent. For example, if your sponsor's official tax documents indicate an annual income of 8 lakhs rupees, yet you are showing 70 lakhs in savings from that same sponsor, this creates a significant logical discrepancy. The officer will demand a documented explanation, and a failure to provide one will severely damage your credibility.
Let us now examine the specific red flags that frequently lead to a visa refusal, even when an applicant appears to possess sufficient funds on paper.
The majority of funding-related rejections can be attributed to 4 primary issues: the presence of unexplained funds, the use of temporarily borrowed or parked money, reliance on a sponsor with a weak or illogical financial profile, and providing inconsistent answers during the interview.
The most common red flag is the appearance of large, recent deposits without a clear origin. For example, a deposit of 25 lakhs appearing in your account just 2 weeks prior to the interview. If you cannot provide a definitive paper trail, such as a property sale deed or an official loan disbursement letter, a vague answer like, "It is from family savings," will be deemed insufficient.
This leads us to the concept of parked money. This term refers to funds that are temporarily borrowed from various individuals for the sole purpose of inflating a bank balance for the interview. Consular officers are trained to detect this practice. If suspected, they will likely conclude that the funds are not genuinely available to you, which implies an intent to engage in unauthorized work. This leads to an immediate refusal.
Another significant red flag is presenting a weak sponsor. It is not sufficient for a sponsor to simply state their willingness to support you. According to the guidelines, the sponsor must demonstrate with documentation that they have a stable income and the financial capacity to fund your education without imposing a financial hardship upon themselves and their own family. Their ability to pay must be proven. It is also critical to understand that even with flawless documentation, you can undermine your entire case through your verbal responses. We will now cover the critical errors that applicants make during the interview itself.
These verbal mistakes can instantly destroy an applicant's credibility. Examples include expressing confusion between sanctioned loan amounts and personal savings, or falsely stating that tuition has already been paid. However, the most serious errors are giving answers that directly contradict the information on your DS-160 application form, or mentioning any intention to work part-time in a capacity that is not legally authorized. Any inconsistency suggests a lack of truthfulness.
So, what is the correct approach to presenting your financial case? The most effective strategy is built on two fundamental principles: simplicity and complete honesty.
Adhere to these 3 rules. First, ensure your financial explanation is simple. If you cannot explain your funding structure in 1 or 2 clear sentences, it is likely too complex. Second, only present documentation for funds that you can confidently and calmly explain and defend. Do not include ambiguous accounts simply to increase your total balance. And third, you must be absolutely consistent. Your verbal responses must align perfectly with the information on your I-20 and DS-160 forms.
This brings us to the single most important concept to understand. The United States government does not expect student visa applicants to be wealthy. What it does expect, and in fact requires, is a demonstration of honesty, logic, and financial stability.
Ultimately, all of your financial documents and interview responses combine to tell a story. The sole purpose of that story is to prove, in a calm and logical manner, that you possess the necessary resources to support yourself and complete your studies in the United States without violating U.S. law. Mastering that narrative is the key to success.